And what's up, everyone? Yeehaw, we're having some fun today. I get to have a great conversation with my good friend, John Hawley. What's up, John?
What is happening? Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I love your shirt. Your little T-Rex action going on.
Heck yeah.
That's fantastic. There you go.
Yep. And a surfboard, even though I don't surf, and a pickaxe, even though I don't climb. Whatever.
Well, and it looks like you even mowed your lawn for us.
Oh, yeah.
Your little carpet pattern. Look at that's nice.
You gotta be presentable inside and outside.
Yeah, well, I mean, no one's going outside, so you got to make your inside look good too, right?
It's true. And our yard is covered in snow, so.
Oh, is it snowing down there?
It did yesterday.
Okay.
We made a snowman in the back, Olaf, and we made a snow princess in the front, who's got a tiara on. I think that's how you say it. Tiara?
Tiara? I don't know. I'm not a girl.
I should know more. I should know better.
You're a girl dad, man. You got to get that stuff on lock.
That's true. Yep.
That's awesome. So welcome everyone who's out there. Excited to have a fun conversation with John and some things that he's experienced in the last couple of years. Some things that I admire about him. And we do have Saul Gomez on the line. So that means at some point there's going to be a cartwheel. We got Danielle. What's up, Danielle? And we got Saul, who John said if Saul showed up, he'd do a cartwheel. So you want to do one now? Do one later?
I'll do one right now.
There we go. That's fantastic. 10 out of 10.
It's for you.
There you go, Saul. See what happens when you show up to these live shows? Anything's possible.
Yeah, now you can go and feel comfortable that you came and conquered.
But please don't leave yet.
Right.
Awesome. So, John, you got out of the Navy, what, has it been a year now?
It has been like exactly 11 months to the day.
Wow.
Crazy.
Wow. Yeah. What was that? Before we get into the obvious changes that you faced, let's just talk about a little bit who John is so people can get to know you. We'll give it a little bit of your backstory, how you got to where you are today, minus the pandemic stuff. I want to save that for a little later.
Sure. Yeah. So before I start, I'll let you know that I was on the Peloton before we started this, and I thought I was going to do a little ride, and it turned into me racing myself. And so the sweat here is not out of angst for talking to Matt or you guys, but because I'm dumb and my time management skills for working out prior to this were not very good. So me, we will start with, I have a 4-year-old daughter. How do you want me to start? Yeah.
Yeah, you're good. Do it.
Yeah. So 4-year-old daughter, I have a German Shepherd, my boy before the girl. And my wife and I met in Japan. She was in the Navy for 7 years. And I was in the Navy for about 11. And fast forward to me talking to you, because I know you through the Navy, a lot of innovative and creative individuals that run in the same circles the same way. So.
Yeah. Fantastic. We got some fun folks joining us. You know about Danielle and Saul. We got Ashley. You know Ashley from good old Naval X. She loves her some John. So thanks for joining, Ashley.
Heck yeah!
And this is Matt Murphy. His account's private, but Matt Murphy's here, and so is James Corbett.
Heck yeah!
So good times. Yeah, great people. And so if you guys are out there,
don't pick your nose. Don't pick your nose. Don't pick your nose. Don't pick.
Yeah, make sure keep this clean right here, right here. Don't scratch. If you pick your nose, go off screen for a sec. There you go.
That's good.
So if you guys are out there, let us know you're there. We only know you're there by commenting. So give us a shout out. Tell us where you're watching from, what you're up to. As we start talking to John here, who I have looked up to since the day I met you, for a lot of reasons. One, because the dude is like a Jedi master. Manipulator came to mind. That's not right. Master facilitator. The way you,
my wife would say that.
the way you talk to people and interact with people is uncomparable. You have this je ne sais quoi about how you facilitate, and it's magical to watch it happen. The first time we met, we actually kind of facilitated together. I was helping you out. That was an interesting time. I know you don't like it when I bring that one up.
Yeah, it was the best of times. It was the worst of times. That was a rough one. I thought you were going to say you looked up to me because I'm 6'1" and shrinking, but I appreciate all the other things you said. I'll give you the $10 Venmo after the fact for saying really nice stuff about me. So so thank you for that. Yeah, that first time was we ran really, really fast, did things and broke things, and then put them back together, created some really good relationships, and some of the best learned memories on what not to do in the future. And now we're here.
There you go. Hey, that's you learn fast. Keep going.
Yep, got to, have to. Met some really good people that I'm still in touch with. There's probably some other people out there that maybe not so much. Maybe they don't think that greatly of my cartwheels, but it's not for everybody.
Hey, speaking of your cartwheels, let's talk about unicycling as what happened there? How'd that start?
Yeah, so you want the long story or the short story? I'll go with the short story, and then we can go long if we want to. So vulnerable truth here. I am terrible at telling people what I do. I'm not very good at doing that. I live when I'm in front of groups of people helping and, sometimes cat herding, sometimes, pointing the laser in the right direction for the cats to follow type of thing. Mm-hmm. But one-on-one, not so great. And so what's the distinguishing factor between somebody that loves to have fun, engaging, energetic, creative workshops that foster a really safe space for discussion? They're all the same. They're all different, but by being different in that way, they're all sort of the same. So how do you distinguish yourself between, your background and theirs? And not to say anybody's better or worse than the other. Everybody has their own little spot that they shine. And I figured if I could be on a unicycle and catch one person that didn't know I existed and said to themselves, hey, if this guy can do this while riding a unicycle and still drop some knowledge on facilitation and coaching and, all of the above, team building, strategy, etc., then I would trust him to run our folks through something. That's kind of the idea that sparked it all. And then I realized how hard it was to relearn how to ride a unicycle for more than 25 feet. And then I just kept practicing and falling and gouging my legs out until I could ride comfortably enough to not die on camera.
There you go. And have you made it? Have you made it?
I made it. Yeah. So I didn't stick with the smaller unicycle. I bought a pretty big one. Okay. And so when I'm on it, I'm about over 7 feet in the air on a spinning wheel. So you have to get the momentum up and just trust that you're not going to fall and move forward. So I'm there, but sometimes it takes a couple tries to get up. Once I'm up, I'm okay unless there's a car coming in two directions, and then it's all over.
Yeah, no, that's excellent. I've seen one of your videos. It looks pretty fun. You did a Santa on the unicycle too.
Yes, on a very busy street, and happy that I made it through that one as well. But the GoPro does wonders, especially when you clip it in 2 to 3 second bursts. So. At least I think it was your suggestion actually to keep a couple people actually mentioned this, to keep the tips to, under a minute and a half type of thing. So that's long enough to not run out of breath entirely and not die. So.
Yeah, those are both important things. If you run out of breath, you could die. That's just basic science. A couple things here. So Saul agrees that you are a Jedi Master. He also brings up that disruption tends to have a negative connotation. However, it's often what is needed to break from this is the way we've always done it rigmarole of things.
Yeah.
So
I completely agree with that. I don't know if that was a question for me, but I have something that I
go with
always thought of, at least in the military, and I believe this is the case all over the place. But there's a difference between being a positive disruptor and disrupting the other disruptors. And in the case of being creative and innovative and next level thinking, everyone's going to get in each other's way, and you got to figure out how to not run over your peers in that respect. And I've seen that a lot. So
yeah,
disruptive in a positive way.
You don't want to run them over with your unicycle either.
That's true.
Saul, so you got a huge super fan with Saul here. He loves your unicycle approach, intended or not. Makes him think about the balance that we can all benefit from. So did you intend to make a metaphor about balance? No.
It's perfect though. I will be using it. I'm gonna do the Mohawk mat approach and eat my own dog food in terms of iterating and start somewhere. So I started with a not so great, and I've iterated a couple times. And when the roads are not icy or whatnot, I will continue to attempt and get better, and then I will weave that in to why I did it. So that was great, Saul. Thank you.
There you go. So we actually, one of our first questions came from Saul before the show, and it's, what would you say is the single most debilitating barrier in organizations that stands in the way of true collaboration and cross-functional teaming?
Okay, so normally if questions come up out of the blue, I black out and I answer them, and then I ask somebody how I did. In this case, it came in early, so I had a chance to read it like 11 times. And so my answer is probably not going to be as good as it should be. I probably shouldn't have admitted all of that. But I think, there's a million paths that you could go down. You could go down the leadership and management. You could go down the culture. It's kind of endless. I personally think the biggest debilitating thing is everybody thinks that you need to move forward in order to keep moving forward. And sometimes I think you need to stop. You need to create the foundation so that when you're moving forward, it matters. You're moving forward in the right direction. 2, you're moving faster. 3, you could potentially, shed some weight that you were carrying before. I don't know. I'm coming up with metaphors or analogies as I go, type of thing. But every time that I talk to somebody that says, "Hey, not now," or "We're not ready," or I'll let you know when we get to the point where we need that kind of thing, whatever this nebulous thing is. I think to myself, that's when you need it. You need it now. It's not going to come to you later. You're not going to want to do it later. And when you're comfortable, that's kind of not exactly the time to decide to be super uncomfortable. People don't generally do that. So, stop, pause, create the foundation for everybody to have the respect, not only as a team, that's obviously important, but the respect with the individual web of your team, so that if any given thing happens in the right or wrong way, the trust stays there as a team. You have each other's back. You can have the right discussions at the wrong time. You can have the wrong discussions at the right time, wrong, right, whatever that is, right?
Yeah. I think that's great advice. Thank you. I want to talk about one of the foundations I know you have, and that is about barriers and how you don't have meetings on Mondays and Fridays.
Yeah. I've thought about this for a while, of whether I tell people, like the general public, but I guess I'm doing that now. Yeah. So that started, it's been a process, and I would argue at the very beginning of the process, because I think I have a really far way to go. But it started with, "Hey, I should stop taking calls on a Sunday." I was like, "What? why am I taking a call on a Sunday? And then I was like, I probably shouldn't take any calls on the weekend. And then that turned into, hey, Friday afternoon is like the weekend, so I'm not going to do Friday afternoon. Fast forward, turned into not Friday and the weekend. And then it turned into Monday afternoons. And then I just kind of went, hey, I'm getting more done. I'm getting more business. I have more intimate conversations with people in the time spot that we have. I'm not driving myself insane finishing 8 meetings and then staying up for the next 5 hours to give them that book or that link or that, email. And so I started doing Monday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then not after 1 p.m. for the most part. I mean, I'll take a call from David Schiff or you where it's like friendly and it's not about business. Yeah. But yeah. In fact, case in point, somebody emailed me today about a contract. I cannot believe this is a good thing. I would never have imagined, and I'm only saying this just because I think it might help at least maybe one person that's listening, is they asked to meet later this afternoon. And I said, I couldn't, I had time to spend with my daughter. And they said, yeah, absolutely. Family first. And let's figure out something else. I already like you type of thing. And the stigma that you have is you don't want to let somebody down. You don't want to say, hey, I can't make that, or I can't, I'm too busy for you, so I'll go, type of thing. Most people will follow your calendar just as well as you'll follow theirs. And I've always been a calendar follower. Somebody will say this time, and I look at my calendar and I'm like, yeah, I can make that time, and I just do it. So it's been hugely beneficial to me to actually say, hey, I can do that, but tomorrow morning works a lot better for me. Does that work for you? Type of thing. So that was a very long-winded answer.
No, I think it's great. I think it's important, especially right now when the telework happened, everyone's lines got really blurred. And so I think having those boundaries is important. It's one thing that I don't have. I am actually working actively right now to create those because I'm really bad at it. And especially when my part of my job, it's to like be on social media. Well, guess what? People are on social media at night.
Yeah.
And so it's a really hard to create that. And
for sure.
So no, I think
no one's going to tell you to stop. No one is going to say, well, they will. They'll say you really need to take a break. You're always go, 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 run, run, run. But you got to look out for yourself. Have to.
They'll usually tell you to stop because like you've snapped because you burned yourself out. Or, and I don't mean snap like negatively, but it's when it's clear that you're like burning, that's when they tell you, hey, maybe you should take a break. If they don't ever see you burning, they just let you keep running.
Yeah. I'm going to share one other thing that I've learned in the last like 2.5 days. A newly found friend of mine named Teresa told me that she said, nobody is going to ask you why you couldn't do something. So say, for instance, you wanted to call at 3 and I said, hey, I'm busy. Have you ever heard someone say, well, what are you doing at 3? Like, not a friend, but like somebody in business. Nobody says, wait, why can't you meet this thing? And it was like this huge epiphany for me. I was like, nobody ever asks why you can't be somewhere. Your calendar is your own. And it's like, obviously be good to yourself type of thing. Yeah. It's like, whoa.
That's big.
Big.
Boom. So let's talk about your business. You got out of the Navy, and I've recorded with you before this master plan of like, this is what you're going to do. And you've been planning this for years, and this is what you're going to do. And then bam.
Yeah.
Didn't happen.
Well, oh gosh. Yeah. I don't even know where to start. It was, so if you back up a little bit. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Let's start with, what was your plan to get out of the Navy and have? Like, you're creating something. What was that?
Yeah. So it was in short, doing what I was doing in the Navy, running offsites, retreats, team building strategy, solving problems, mainly just getting the tacit knowledge out of groups of people, right? Mediating, moderating conversations, being the forcing function for people to do better, and it was going really well. That was the in-person thing. So do you want somebody that laughs at their own terrible jokes, knows what they're talking about, and not maybe guaranteed to have the best solution on the planet, but guaranteed in the moment to progress significantly? That was like what I thought of myself, what I think other people thought of me for in-person stuff. I don't know if that sounded, too cocky. I hope we can cut this out for later and other people can listen to this. But no, I got out, and the plan was years in the making. I was able to have my own company while in the Navy on my own time, obviously taking leave and whatnot, proved through lawyers, and built up a base to be able to support myself. And then COVID happened, and it was just like, oh no. But I posted about this recently. It's actually been a blessing in disguise for us. So I don't want to talk too highly about what it's done for us, just because I don't want to make anybody else feel bad that is suffering through what you all are going through. I dealt with my own struggles for a while. I'm doing significantly better, and I was in some very dark and deep times for sure. But I think everything happens for a reason. I just came across I don't know what you call it. Is it a proverb? Where I'm not even going to say it right. I'll just post it down below later after the fact. I'm going to write it down. It's one of those things where it's like something bad happens and the person goes, "We'll see." And then something else happens, which is bad. And he's like, "We'll see." And then that makes something good happen, and whatever. I'll put it in the link.
Sounds good.
Or bottom comments.
Well, I appreciate your vulnerability, sharing your story, because a lot of people have had to pivot. Some people unfortunately couldn't, and they are suffering, and there's a lot going on right now. I'm grateful and blessed every day that I can keep doing, that my family is okay. I have cousins and family members who still don't have work. So it is very real that it is still going, like, we're not done. Like, it's still a very active thing going on right now. So appreciate your part of your story, sharing that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And honestly, I think for the people that are in our circles that, potentially have a different definition of what they do, where we are working with people to improve the greater good of that team or organization, whatever that is, facilitation, right? That's what I call it. But I think we actually it's like a better calling now, almost, because now instead of helping somebody or some company profit and get better, there's so much happening right now where you have a secondary and tertiary effect of why you're helping, what it's going to do for that company, what that company is going to do for other people, for work and the environment and all this stuff. So it's like, hey, if you're good at what you do and you can, fumble through a couple hiccups to get online and be able to do it, I mean, let me know. I can tell you a whole bunch of mistakes that I made in the beginning to make that happen. But I think it's needed now more than ever. And I think the pie is getting bigger and bigger. We're sharing it with more and more people. But the quantity of the slice gets bigger, which is good.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's great. Couple things here, just a couple shout outs, folks. James Corbett loves your 11 teen you mentioned earlier. It's an important number. Saul hashtags your authenticity. James also gives you a shout out, says, if you ever need to talk about how to get things going, let him know. He's open to chat. He loves helping people get going. Saul also adds recently, sometimes is the lens of how we see things, i.e. what happened to me, instead of viewing as what happened for me. And I think that's very real. That perspective can completely shift your reaction to things. And I'm going to slaughter this one. There's that one about, it's not about the fact that what happens when you get hit, or that you get hit. It's about what happens when you get hit and what you do with it. you get back up? Do you stay down? So perspective is a big thing, Saul. Good point. So John, I'm going to go into facilitation. Why did you become a facilitator?
So this is morphed. I've had a couple different answers, and I think they're all like part of it. So I'll give you a little bit. So the gist of it is, think about how many classes you've been to. Think about how many times you've sat down where somebody tried to teach you some kind of tool, tip, trick, etc.
Yeah.
And there's almost always, even in really, really good, and I won't name names because several of them are on my my own bio or whatever you want to call it, LinkedIn. But there's fluff. There is always, almost always fluff, and rarely does something light your brain on fire and keep it lit.
Yeah.
I was like, I can do this. I can do it better. Every time you sit in a class and you're either waiting, or they have some kind of awkward transition from one thing to the next, or they didn't actually double back and re-explain something, or they're fumbling over the word. There's just so many things, and you're like, gosh, this could be done so much better. I would learn so much more. Instead of keeping me here for 8 hours, I wish you would have made this 3 hours. I would have gotten some time back. I probably still would have paid the same amount for the course, but you don't need to fill this amount of time to give me the right amount of value, type of thing. So that's one. The other one is in the Navy. My first time ever standing, I don't think I've actually said why I got in trouble, so I'll tell you. I got in trouble. First time ever standing watch for the reactor, I messed up a tag out, which happens, actually. It happens a lot for the first time, because there's so many things going on. Yeah. And anyways, so I messed up, and I had to give training to 300 people on tag outs, which is the worst training ever. You go to it a million times, you know exactly what to do. The mistake is not necessarily that you don't know what's happening, it's that you haven't been there to do it yourself, type of thing. And so I gave the training, and beforehand, I was just I was devastated. I'm like, I don't like teaching, I don't like coaching, I don't like being in front of groups of people. When I took public speaking in college, I took it during the summer so that I could take a drink of beer before I had my my speech, nerves, right? And I prepped for it in a big way. And afterwards, a ton of people, dozens of people came up to me afterwards and were like, that was the best training ever. Can you give the next training? And I was like, no way. But I ended up having to give it a few times, and it was like, hey, I'm pretty good at it. Even though I get really nervous, I feel good after the fact, type of thing. And and then I have another story that goes along with some other stuff, but there's little things like that add up and build up to, hey, I can do this.
Okay.
And then you do it. Yeah.
Here's Ashley's reason. He became a facilitator because he's awesome.
Hey, oh. Thank you. I appreciate that.
So thanks, James. If you're already gone, thanks for joining. Amy says, buy a flask.
Yeah. Yep. That's one of the reasons that you do it during the summer, because when I went to Virginia Tech, you had to wear a uniform to class for every class. Well, for a Corps Cadets or Navy ROTC. So it's like, you can't be having a beer before class wearing a uniform. So got to do it during the summer. Yep.
Oh, for
and if
sure.
my mom's watching this, sorry, Mom.
Oh
man.
So I want to talk to something. You have a pretty strong presence online. Is that to help grow your business? And probably part of it is, or why do you spend so much time curating information and engaging with people on LinkedIn?
Yeah, great question. So yeah, absolutely. Business. One thing, so to take it back to the Navy and why I think it applies to this now is, you get a champion, somebody has your back, you're able to try something new. You would not be here without the champions that allowed you to do what you did, right? Case in point. So I had my own, right? And those champions can only take you so far, right? So you start something, you have the backing, you can mess up numerous times because they trust you, they have faith that you're kind of doing it for the right reason, type of thing. But everything that I did grew, for the most part, organically. So the first, say, 25 workshops that I did, it went from, E4s and 5s to an ensign or a lieutenant to a chief to, the credibility building of, hey, this is something, went up and up and up and up. And in the beginning, we tried to tell people, hey, you should let us come to your command and do this thing. And they'd be like, we don't want you. I was like, no, but we're really good and it's going to be a lot of fun. And here, it's awesome. And they're like, we don't want it. And so we learned to just kind of let the word of mouth spread organically, right? Well, on the outside, the same thing is happening to me for business. I'd say 90% of my business comes from people that either saw me in action or they know somebody that saw me in action. And it's probably higher than 90%. I'm just leaving room for a couple things that happen here or there. But LinkedIn allows people to either be part of those events, reflect on those events, or be the connective tissue between somebody that saw me or seeing me for themselves. Because I think the way that I'm acting in front of you right now, for some reason, I don't understand it, is not exactly the same as me in front of a group of people. I don't know what it is. Right. I don't know if I'm like goofy or I like black out. So I just don't even really know what I do in front of people. Partially kidding, only partially. So the LinkedIn thing is, hey, I want to be top of mind so that if somebody is out there that wants to solve a problem or get a group together, or they don't even know what the heck to do, they have no idea, or they're scared that they have to run, they got in trouble with tagouts and they have to do a training for 300 people or 3. Hey, I've been there, I've done it. I can provide some insights that potentially prevent you from running into the same problems that I did. Yeah. And one of my favorite analogies is, I've said this like 4 times in the last 5 hours. So if you're hearing this again right now, this is not original, but so it's like what you do when you learn how to deep fry a turkey for the first time. You watch 5 videos, 3 videos on what not to do to light your house on fire, to ruin the turkey, and to make something explode. Like, those are the 3 videos you watch. You're like, okay, now I know how to not start a fire and ruin, Christmas. And then you watch 2 videos on what to do, and then you kind of make up your own thing.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a lot more than 5 videos, but the workshops I've been through are like that. I know what not to do now, definitely not do, and now I kind of tweak it as I go.
That's fantastic. That's great. And Saul references you're blacking out to like old school Will Ferrell when he blacks out and gives a dissertation on global warming. And I totally know what that's like. Like, that's a lot of these. I do these interviews. This has become my thing that I do all day, every day. And I'll get off and someone will say, oh, how'd it go? I was like, I think it went great. I don't remember. Until I actually go back and listen to it. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah, that's the flow, right? That's
you get going.
We just watched Soul with our daughter a week or 2 ago, and that's the place that you go.
That little cloudy place. Yeah,
you're in flow. Yeah, yep.
Yeah, that's excellent.
That's the blackout.
What's up, Trey? Trey's an Army veteran, so doing great things. He's got an Army podcast helping vets through mental things and stuff like that. So anyone that's just joining us now, we're having a great conversation with John Hawley. I think it's time for another cartwheel. It's been like half an hour since your last one.
I can do that.
Let's do it. Let's get this cartwheel going, man. Boom. Nailed it. Fantastic. Well, anyone that if anyone's watching that's your audience that doesn't know me, I'm all about just vulnerability, being real, and car wheels, being yourself, do it. Unicycle. I like when you started coming out with that stuff. I was like, yes, it's so fantastic. Like it just pumped me up because I love people when they show LinkedIn. We talked about LinkedIn, and LinkedIn can be a very professional business relationship side, but it's not. It's changing people, and even people on that professional business side, they connect to you, through the pieces of you. You've shared stuff about your family, your Charlie Brown thing about your vulnerable state you just talked about when you were switching and pivoting during the pandemic. That's why people, like you said the other day, when you said, hey, I can't do this because I have something with my daughter, that actually connected them more to you. And they probably were like, oh,
Crazy.
family man.
Crazy. I mean, you would never think that would be the thing until you try it a couple times and you realize, do you ever get upset when somebody actually throws a barrier at you? You don't. You actually get jealous. You're like, man, I wish I could do that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's great. And Ashley, that was me, her first time frying a turkey. Didn't want to burn down the house. And she gets right in the same zone like Soul. So
Yeah.
great movie. And you're welcome, Trey. Good to have you here. So this is the one and only Grace Lee.
All right. Hey.
For some reason, her account shows blocked when I do this, but Grace is in the house.
Heck
And
yeah. Good to see you, Grace.
great cartwheel. She can't do that. And Amy loves cartwheels, but her short legs don't work so great for that.
Oh, that's good. Hey,
Um,
here's something that has nothing to do with anything except for turkey came up on the screen again, and I'm gonna lay out some knowledge for you here.
Do it.
I wrote myself an email about 6 years ago that I snooze to show up on the morning of Thanksgiving every year, which is challenging because it doesn't fall on the same time. So sometimes you'll get it like late and you're like, oh, well, that's why I burnt the turkey. But you write yourself an email how you wish the past you will address you in the future. I recommend it for a lot of things more than just turkey, which is why I'm bringing it up right now. But it could be how you want to start the year, how you want to finish the year, etc. But writing yourself those little snippets, and then it shows up in your inbox from yourself, and you're like, "Whoa, I'm pretty cool. I'm getting my own email." Anyways, so thought I'd try to share that with you.
I didn't know you could do that. I didn't know you could time set things like that.
Oh, okay. That has nothing to do with anything as well, but I'll also say this. And I found this out in the last year, you can actually set your email. So that was snooze, where you send it and then you remove it from your inbox and it pops up in your inbox. But you can actually send an email through Gmail whatever time you want on whatever day you want. So I'm not suggesting anybody do this, but I've gotten some emails before at 1 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, were they really awake writing this? If it was David Schiff, yeah, he's going to be awake for another 2 hours. Was this other person still really working? Probably not.
That's cool. Well, and I think it's funny every time you say, I'm going to share something it has nothing to do with nothing, but those are the pieces that I think help people know who you are and how you do things. Because I often do that too. Like people ask, well, how do you do this? How do you interview these people? How do you do this? I'm like, well, I do this and then like da 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 da, and I do this and da 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 da, and they're like, well, no, the important thing was this. It was this 3-star admiral, and like, well, no, I want to know about the da 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 da. Like it's the little things that we do to ourselves, like that we think are simple, and maybe they are to us.
Oh,
but people learn from that. Go. Okay. You have a thought. Go.
Made me think of something. So I recently just went. You ready for one more vulnerable moment?
Let's do it.
So I have stomach acid. So I was like, hey, I'm going to go have them. Technology is amazing. They're going to stick a camera down there and find out, make sure that I, don't have weird things growing in my stomach, whatever. But I went through it and I messaged the doctor afterwards. I was like, for like 5 minutes of your time and your people's time, your clinic could be infinitely better because you have done this so much that you don't understand what it's like to be the one that has never done it. So even though I'm practically fearless, except for mice and cockroaches and rats, those are like the three things that I can't deal with ever. I'm pretty fearless, but I came in here and I was just like worried. Where am I going? Why is it happening? How long is it going to take? Is somebody going to like put that blanket over my feet because they're getting cold? Like all of these things, right? And I just messaged him. I was like, you kind of have to send somebody through and genuinely ask them, how can we make this better? Because you don't think about it anymore. The person's going to be safe. It won't matter if their feet get cold because they're going to be done in the next 6 minutes. All of these things. I mean, obviously this analogy is towards a doctor, but you can do that for everything. You're like, how close are you to what you do that what you say makes no sense to anybody else because it just makes every bit of sense to you. You don't have to really think about it or connect the dots.
Yeah. Well, those are those magic moments. Those are those things that when people are like trying to figure out, people that do too much at work or they're like overwhelmed with all these things, there's a lot of different exercises that you know about that you can do to find those magic things. And that's what you should be doing. If you can figure out what those things are that you can do without thinking about it, those are the things that you should target your career. Like I never realized how easy it is for me to interview people because I hadn't done it. It was something I had put off. I did it in the Marine Corps, got out and started going down a different path, came to Naval X. Even when we met, this wasn't my job when we first met. It was doing more facilitation stuff and things like that. And so I didn't realize until I started doing it again. And then people asking, hey, how are you doing that? Just like you doing, how do you facilitate? You're like, oh no, I just block out and I go. And luckily for me, I film everything. And so it's like watching game tape. I've been able to go back and like watch what I do. And after I got over the fact that I like blink too much and like,
I didn't know that. Now I'm watching you.
I'm ready. When other people are talking, I can't control my blinking. Like I go back and watch and like, while you're talking, I blink a lot. Like, I don't know why, but I don't care anymore. Yeah. It's those magic moments. You can find those and you can do that. So I thought you were going to say you told the doctor to go make a video. That's where my brain went. Like they could make a video of like running through.
I did. I actually did. My suggestion was something that they could pull up on their phone. This is exactly what you're about to experience. This is how long it's going to take. This is everything you need to know, because most people aren't going to sit there and read the pamphlet and get to the third page and find out like all of these things. It's like, no, this is easy. It's literally 5 minutes. When I'm asking little things like somebody picking you up afterwards.
Yeah.
You're thinking, oh gosh, this is going to be like an hour or two. And they're like, no, you'll be ready in about 25 to 40 minutes. You're like, what? And then you wake up, you don't know that you're about to be drunk off of the stuff. So you're talking and you're like, what is happening right now? These are things that most people know, but if you've never been through it, you just don't know. So yeah.
That's great. Well, I'll keep my eye out for throat stuff videos coming out from doctors.
Oh yeah.
Procedure videos.
Yeah, no doubt. Absolutely.
Grace is out there making green chili turkey pozole, talking about turkey. So that sounds fantastic, Grace.
It does. It sounds really good. I'm dying to have some like my daughter's been calling it unhealthy food because we've all been on the Whole30 for the last like 17 days.
Oh wow.
So I haven't had any sugar, any dairy, and any grains or bread or anything for like 17 days.
Wow.
And I'm dying to have like a Whopper with cheese or something like that. Why did you do that? Like, why did you do the Whole30? Just for fun, for self? Oh, actually, well, there's a bunch of stuff. mainly my lack of knowledge of nutrition. And now I have a lot more knowledge of nutrition, and my wife is doing it. Obviously, it's better to do it as a family so that everybody understands what is your hold yourself accountable type of thing.
Yeah.
But it actually makes you, I think, a lot more clear. I mean, I've only been 17 days in, so I could be wrong here. This could be my own mind playing tricks on me. But aside from probably feeling better, I've actually worked out more. I don't know why, if maybe that's just because I feel like I need to because I'm eating better or whatever. But yeah, so trying something new.
Awesome.
We'll make it 30 days. And then instead of having just like handfuls of Hershey's chocolate, which is like my go-to for like a quick snack with a spoonful of peanut butter, which sounds amazing right now. Now I don't feel like I need it.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. And I see a number of people on my phone have jumped in. So if you're joining us, having a great conversation with John Hawley here, all kinds of things, family, life, career, some pivot things he's been doing. I want to ask, what's that?
Turkeys.
Turkeys, the importance of turkey, not burning down your house. Oh, yeah. Getting a camera shoved down your throat. Anything could happen. Cartwheels, anything could happen. So
yeah, this is going in a lot of different directions than you would not be able to prepare for a live like this, I don't think. So I think that's probably a good thing.
That's how I like it. I give you a little bit, and then you go with it. I've learned not to just like you're doing your facilitation. I don't fight the conversation. Wherever it goes, I let it go, and what happens. On that note, I do want to go to a direction of, I've seen you in action. You talked about like people that see me in action. I've seen you in action. One of the things that I've noticed very different from the way you do it and others is you seem very attuned to people's and how they're reacting to things and their emotion. Is that something you've had your whole life? Is that a skill you've had to learn? When you're in action, you seem very attuned to the people and how they're feeling.
I appreciate that. First of all, I don't think that I don't know when that started. I don't know if I've had that. I have no idea whatsoever. I think I've always been good in small groups before and never really had to be, was always worried to be in front of a larger audience or a larger group. But I think you constantly reflect to yourself, if I were sitting here watching myself, how would I be feeling? And then what you do is you kind of exaggerate it in your head and you look around the room and you're like, yep, she feels exactly how I would feel, but I can see it. You're like, yep, you nailed it. I'm sucking eggs right now. This I need to do something about it. And so when you're in the room, you're your own worst critic for the most part. And so you kind of combine the motions of the room, and you're like, hey, if people are doing this and they're high-fiving and they've got some pep to their step, you're like, okay, I'm doing great. Mentally, you take a note, hey, are we accomplishing what we said we would accomplish? Are we doing better than other people would think? Good, we're on track. Those are just kind of like quick little markers for you. But then if you're not, if people are like this, or, they're looking at their watch, I mean, little things that everybody knows, these are the cues that you don't want to have when you are giving a workshop to people. You look around and you just go, you fill in the worst from your own head. Yep. My joke there was terrible. Nope, I didn't. I totally forgot to give a break here. This person's antsy type of thing. Oh, I probably didn't explain that well enough because this person's looking like this. And you kind of just take an average of the crowd and you go, this is what I'm going to do to make sure that I get rid of that kind of gesture from that person or group of people.
Yes, that's fantastic. And I want to get inside your head a little bit because I think people can learn from that. That's one of those things that you probably don't realize you're doing or didn't at first.
No, yeah, you're right.
You're in the zone and just going.
Yeah. I think that was the first time I've ever answered that question. So I guess you can tell me later how I did, but no,
you can watch it later.
Yeah, true. So I don't think that you think about it. I think you should. I think that when you're starting out, one of the things that I would help new facilitators do is back each other up. So while one person is doing it, the other one is looking around the room to see where they could potentially catch them as a safety net, or pass them a sticky note that says, hey, don't forget to do X, Y, or Z, or, have each other's back. And then over time, you see it for yourself, you feel it, and you're like, nope, I missed the mark here, type of thing. It's just like an iterative thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. And I'm loving this conversation. I mean, we don't talk as much as we used to, but we just go live more. I just schedule an appointment. We'll talk more. There we go.
This is something that I have really, I'm starting to embrace a lot more now than before. Is I feel like I can talk to things that are spontaneous and in the moment. I'm terrible if it's written down and I know I have to follow a script. I don't know if anybody else is like that. That's a hard thing to do, which is why I think facilitation for me is easy, because it's not a script. You have an end in sight. You know where you are in the beginning. It's like, okay, how do I get them from here to there? Okay, I know some tips and tricks, and you shoot for up here so that you at least land where you need to land in the end. But I can't ask questions like this to this extent, one-on-one. I can do it in a group. I don't know why that's different. That's maybe a mental block that I have that I maybe need to work on. So your strength is my weakness comes together, Captain Planet, that kind of stuff.
Our powers combined.
Yeah.
Well, and what's to the point of what you're talking earlier of how I've seen you pay attention to people. That's one of your strengths. Before we go, that's one thing that I think I've told you this. I don't know if I have, but before I was Mohawk Matt is when we met, just Matt Denny, and you pulled me aside. We were doing this thing. We were doing your favorite day to talk about together, and your least favorite day to talk about together. And you pulled me aside and you said to me, people are going to pay attention to you. You have something about you that people are going to pay attention. So be careful the way that you talk and the way that you share things. And if you be in tune to how you react, and because people are going to follow you. That has stuck with me more than you probably know. And lo and behold, look at what I'm doing now.
Heck yeah.
Mohawk, here we go. So, and that's the day I realized how in tune you are with people. And it wasn't then. It was about 4 months later when I started doing the Mohawk Matt thing, and I was thinking about our conversation. I was like, that's what John saw. You saw something in me that I didn't even see. And yeehaw, here we are.
That is cool. That's awesome. I'm glad. That goes back to what I said. It's like one of those things where even if that day was abysmal in my head, if it makes a difference at one point or another, sooner or later you'll touch a lot of people. Even if you don't touch them all. So
yep, for sure. Well, I don't know about touching right now. Wash your hands, sanitize.
Yeah, I just touched my nose. Sorry.
Yeah, there you go. So we got about a couple minutes left, John. What do you want to leave people with? I can ask you another question. You can impart your wisdom, whatever you want.
If you want to ask me another question, I suck at the sign off thing.
So let me ask
another question. Yeah.
Let me ask this: is people that we've talked about a lot of facilitation and some other things. Do I have to go to classes to start? What makes a facilitator? How do I become one? Do I just start learning, Googling stuff, or what?
Heck yeah, definitely. So I think the best way is trial by fire. How much time do I have? And I have
4 minutes.
Okay, 4 minutes. Yeah. So cut me off in 2.
No, you have 4 minutes until I have to cut you off. I've planned it already.
Oh, okay, good. So trial by fire, best way. You're gonna fail, but you have an audience that trusts you, that they're not going to judge you beyond your weaknesses, that kind of thing, right? But if you don't have the ability to do that, which most people don't, right? I was lucky enough to have that in the Navy. So I had 18 people twice a week for 2.5-day workshops that overlapped in the middle of the day for months and months and months and months and months. Most people don't have a chance to do that. If you don't, it's like this one thing. How can you do this 15-minute segment well? Practice, and then try it. And then do another 15-minute thing, and then another 15-minute thing. And then pretty soon you're comfortable with the 15-minute thing. And now you're going to try something different. And maybe keep 80% of what you did before and iterate off of it. The 80% is where you know that you nailed it. I'm going to be successful no matter what I do. So now I'm going to add 10 to 20% of flair on here and try something new. And now your things are 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes there, and they keep extending and they keep getting successful. If they don't, you stay where you are, you watch YouTube videos, you ask people for advice, you record yourself and listen to it. I mean, there's too much to say in the amount of time that we have. I would argue pairing up is the easiest way to become a facilitator. You get two people that have a common interest to become better at something. You pair yourself up, you give each other feedback before you go, which is not necessarily feedback. I guess that's feed forward. You do the event and then you give some feedback afterwards. You iterate, you keep doing it.
Just do it. That's all I hear. Just start.
Heck yeah. Yep.
Fantastic. That's a great one. Thank you to everyone who's been watching. I know I've learned from our conversation, John. I learn from you every time we talk. Yeah, one more cartwheel before we go.
Okay.
Make it an even 3 just for Saul. Just for Saul. There we go. There we go. So,
awesome. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, for sure.
Whoever took track of how many times I touched my face or my nose, I guess leave that in the comments.
And how do people, if they want to get a hold of you, how do they get a hold of you? Through LinkedIn? Okay.
LinkedIn. Yep.
All right. So reach
There's
out.
a link on my LinkedIn in the contact information where you could schedule like a 15-minute thing. So
perfect.
If you want to do that, oh, there's my Google telling me I got to go.
Your reminder. Excellent. Well, John, hang on. Don't hang up real quick. And everyone else, have a great day. Thanks for joining. Throw any more questions in the comments. We will